Gage, Max, and Joe. Gage, Max, Joe. Gage, Max, and Joe. YouTube live show with Gage, Max, and Joe. Never fired up and ready to go. Gage, Max, and Joe. Gage, Max, Joe. Gage, Max, and Joe. Gage, Max, Joe. Gage, Max, and Joe. YouTube live show with Gage, Max, and Joe. Never fired up and ready to go. Gage, Max, and Joe.
And we're back. It's Thursday. What's up, boys? Joe, how we doing?
Doing awesome. We have a fantastic lineup today.
Yeah, we've been kind of fired up about this. We're bringing on Charlie Wade later. The Charlie Wade, Hawaii men's volleyball coach. Max, I'm sorry to ask. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I just want to warn the viewers now. Buckle up. We're going to have some hot takes coming.
do you have a musical instrument near you or no?
No. I wish I did. Because if I did, no.
So, again, we're going to have Charlie Wade on. It'll be good. That'll be later down the road. But first things first, let's get to our first segment of Totally Exposed.
Here we go.
Now, remember in this segment, we're going to bring up volleyball-related videos. We got 3 today. Hopefully, they're hidden gems that we have for you, experiences of us.
Definitely hidden
Video
gems.
from the fan.
Definitely hidden gems.
So we're going to bring those up for you and just kind of give a little insight of what was going through our mind during that time. We're going to go.
We also have a fan who submitted something.
Exactly, yeah. We got
We
everything.
had a few fans, but we had to pick.
I think I know the first one that we're showing, right?
So this first one is definitely going to be featuring Maxwell Quincy Rosenfeld here. Max, why don't you take us through here exactly the situation?
Yeah, it's
that
an
we're
honor
looking
to
at
be.
here.
It's an honor to be the first ever person that's been exposed on this show, because this is full exposure, full disclosure going on right here, because I really goofed on this play, yeah, and as a result of this, I was hitting negative 1,000 career for about a 2-week period. So that was awesome. So I think Gage is just queuing up the video now.
Yeah, I'm trying
It
to
was
pull up.
not
All
my
right, we got it right
finest
here.
hour.
We got it right here, Max. We're good to go. So, Max, as you can see, Max is in the middle position right now. He's being blocked kind of by Colton, but you can kind of see it. Dalton's back to serve. Max, this is your first kind of start, yeah?
Yeah, first time going in during a set, and I was ready, to say the least. I was just fired up and ready to go, as the song says.
And then, Joe, you were like, what'd you tell him before the play?
I'm going to be setting you a ball here, so be ready to go.
I said, all right. That works for me, man.
All right, so we got Max in the middle, Dalton Solberg back to serve. Let's see the aftermath of this.
I think I really nailed it.
Pass at the middle, Max. Nice commit, Max. What are you gonna hand that ball? Max ready to transition.
And okay.
You're
Bottom
so
of the
destroyed.
tape.
Look at your hands. We're gonna play that. Look at your hands. Look at you're so
Look at the
destroyed. You're like hands like no. Oh my god.
I failed.
Joe, you're
Oh my
laughing on
God.
TV. If we
Joe's
go
laughing, and Gage has his face in his
Yeah,
shirt.
look at me in the
Sure.
corner. I
Oh
was
my
going
God.
crazy in the
Gage is
corner
like,
over there.
nice
When I
try there,
arrived-
bud.
When I arrived, I was like, no, that was just like one chance. I was like, oh man. I remember after the game, you were so destroyed.
Max
over
been
that.
dreaming
I was like,
about this
oh,
moment
man.
for years.
I was so ready. You know what? In my defense, though, I hit it hard into the bottom of the tank. There was some speed on that.
Well, that was Max's first start. Max, trust me. I'll go into that. We'll do that another Totally Exposed about my first start. It's a very interesting start versus Northridge. We're gonna go into our next segment, sent by a fan at Michael. Hope I don't butcher this. At Michael Losey or Lose. I'm sorry, Michael. Thank you for sending you a vid. The vid is good, but the caption he sent us is even better. Let's play the vid right here. So this is Michael playing. He's a libero. Mad respect to our liberos out there. And left back right here, you're going to see the setter dump it. And let's see his reaction here.
Oh, my
I've
God.
I've had plenty. I love how it just ends up on the other side of the net. And the other team's like, hey, you good, bro? It's just like, he's like, this is the worst moment of my life. Oh, my gosh.
Gage had a moment I think he can relate to.
Oh,
Him just
for
laying
sure.
there on the ground.
You're
after
just
getting
like,
lit in the face
oh
or
my God.
chest.
But I alluded to his text that he sent us for the message. He's like, I'm going to keep this PG rated right here. He's like, a little throwback to high school where I effed up my hip harder than you guys effed up the Big Flash last year.
Oh, my God.
And then the legend, Michael, thank you so much for that video and for that caption. I hope your hip's okay. And I hope you're having a great day. All
Easy
right,
recovery.
this is the
Thank you for
last
that
one.
submission.
You know, I didn't want to do it purely. I was trying to find a different video that wasn't me, but I was like, you know what? I've had so many bad moments on the court where I was like, all right, let's go
Too
to
many
this one here.
comedic moments
Exactly. So
in
I
his
think
career at UH.
we're gonna go to my first kind of collegiate big game here, and talk about and how I come as a serving sub. You see me. You can't really see me on the back of the screen right now. And I remember we're down 22-18. This is the first set versus UCLA. This is my first big like college game. My freshman year, I came as the serving specialist. For those of you who follow my career, you know that. But you can't see me. I'll start in the kind of the back left here. And I remember I was so pumped. Charlie turned to me. He's like, Gage. He's like, you're going to go in. Let's go. I'm like, oh, my God. It's my time to shine. Let's go. First
Yes,
set.
I'll get it.
18-22. I'm going to bring these guys back. I'm going to fire this crowd up. Let's go, baby.
Like Tommy Boy.
Like, and well, let's see what happens here. So I'm in the back left. You can't see me. You'll see me come in screen here, and I come absolutely ripping that ball right in the antenna.
Another one, yeah.
And that fun fact, that was my first of 2 plays that night.
I was looking straight ahead, I remember, and I heard the whistle go, and all of a sudden the whistle blew again, and I never saw the ball. I'm like, what?
Joe,
I was looking at the rally. Where'd the ball go?
you can see Rosie. Rosie's eyes was like what just like happened there? And then Joe, you're just like, all right, next play. And
I
then
was just looking at Gage. I'm like,
you roasted me. You roasted me.
No,
after that.
Joe roasted you? I thought you guys
I
would be
never
totally
heard
cool
the end
about
of
it
that.
right after.
Joe Ratto. Everyone's
I
roasting me. They're like, I was like, how do you do that? Like, how do you?
I serve
I
Gage.
wasn't even thinking. I was just going to rip.
The next morning, it's serve and pass. Hey, Gage, watch out for the antenna. He'll jump out and bite you.
Brutal.
Oh my gosh. So this is kind of like our last segment here for Totally Exposed. Again, if you want to be featured, make sure you guys send a video to any of our personal accounts or to our out-of-system account. Now to the main man himself, the Charlie Wade. Let's get Charlie on the other end of this call.
Charlie's Wolf.
As promised, Charlie Wade. Charlie, you want to give us another sound check for the fans out there?
Check.
a second ago, you're like, hubba. Charlie, we've been waiting for this call for a long time. It's an honor to have you on the show. How are we doing so far today?
I'm doing great. This is my 3rd Zoom in a row.
How many Zoom?
So it's been a full Zoom-licious morning.
Gage, you were on the first call, just to
That's true.
remind you.
That's true. This is our 2nd Zoom of the day.
Back to back.
Coach, don't
Nice.
worry. We got class later. We're going to be on a couple Zoom calls later. Don't even worry about that. All right. We'll handle that. But that's actually a good segue into our first kind of topic that we're going to be talking about. So we've been seeing you. I mean, obviously you're a coach, so you've been seeing all the Save Our Sports, all the kind of the chaos that this coronavirus and all these problems kind of bring to surface here. So I want to talk about little containment versus kind of reacting appropriately. And I think you can get kind of an insight on how do you think a lot of these coaches, are they overreacting? Are they reacting appropriately? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, the coaches, we're still very much in just trying to gather data mode. I mean, I think in general, there's a little, there's a concern, and it may be overly concerned, but it's an important topic. And that is, the legislation proposed by the G5, that is the 5 conferences with football below the Power 5, they submitted legislation requesting some leeway in the number of sports they have to sponsor. And everybody took that as, oh my God, they're dropping sports and volleyball teams are going to go away. I generally think volleyball is pretty healthy and there's been a lot of growth. I did have an interesting perspective that I heard earlier today. One of the things in the language for that proposal would allow for the fall sports to start summer training without having the student athletes have to be in summer school, which those two have always been tied together, which is a huge expense. And in University of Hawaii's particular case, we did not have fall or spring football. So if you take away the spring and then there's no summer and then the fall's delayed, like they're going to be really up against it. So the summer thing becomes very important when it's allowed and not having to spend the money to put everybody in summer school when that really isn't your intention. There also could be a trickle-down effect where if you're not spending that money on summer school for the fall sports, then spring sports like volleyball could have more opportunities for summer school. So that whole piece, like, look, they're figuring it out. They're working constantly on it. I think from the beginning, the whole distance learning concept, and I just was struck as soon as we got how quickly schools high schools, grade schools, universities, all of which I deal with on a daily basis, how quickly they pivoted to this distance learning concept. And I just think it's going to go, a percentage of it will go the way of similar brick and mortar businesses in retail. I mean, we're looking at Amazon U is coming. And the school, the institution that already were set up to have online learning are way ahead on this. And it just, filling a classroom with 25, 30 people becomes an inefficient way to educate. In some cases, it's a necessary because of the socialization, because of the subject matter that you need to be in front of them. But I just think that part is going to play out over time, and it's years going forward. We're trying to figure out what everybody's doing in the fall, but I think you're going to see effects from this going forward for a long time. And then when it gets to just the volley side of it for us, like, okay, we don't know our schedule. Everybody's kind of up for, well, there's not going to be any fall practice, let alone fall competition. We're going to have to juggle the roster size, and look, in our practice gym, there's guys get better. We want to keep them around as long as possible. I do agree that, 30 is it's just an unruly number, but we've already talked about if we end up with a roster that size, we can run split practices. The coaches just have to be there twice as long. We can split it up by position. We could split it up by class. We could split it up any way you want to have two sessions that are beneficial. So, you don't have 30 plus guys standing around. The whole scholarship piece does become, if we extend this out, and to use a popular phrase now, I think if we end up having guys like our freshmen, the group of freshmen from a couple years ago, they'll be freshmen for the third year in a row, and what it does is flatten the curve in terms of scholarship distribution. So you're going to have guys tying up that scholarship money longer. It's over a 6-year cycle than a 4-year cycle. But ultimately, you end up getting more bang for your buck. Guys in their 6th year are going to be smarter, stronger, more responsible, better players. So you get better leadership, you get better performance in your practice gym and on the court. You just have to make a decision if they're guys that are worth having around for 6 years as opposed to 4. Yeah. But there's still a lot of unknown that we're all just trying to figure out going forward.
Yep. So I feel like you kind of have a level head, and I think that you're part of all these meetings with other coaches, and I've heard from other people, like everyone's kind of like freaking out. I feel like you're kind of in the middle right here, because you're like, okay, I see this most opportunity, not like as a time to panic. You're kind of like in the middle while the fire's around you, like what's going around, like what are the other coaches like thinking? Because I've heard like they're kind of like freaking out a little. They're like, oh, this or this or this. And I've heard a lot of different kind of reactions that people are having.
There's a reality. There are budget cuts coming. And I understand there's a little bit of being proactive, right, to get in front of it and to show that we're willing to be good soldiers. But at the end of the day, they're not going to ask us if they have to cut. They may ask you, okay, you have a choice to cut wherever you want to cut. I do look at some of this, and I'll agree that people are getting a little in front of themselves because we don't know. And, one analogy could be, look, you're not just going on the ventilator if you don't have the Rona. You got to wait and see, like, okay, like I may get sick, I may have it, I may have to go into the more extreme measures, but right now we just don't know. So I'm saying let's just wait and see if we got the Rona before we jump on the ventilator and start whacking schedules, money off our budget and dates off our schedule.
Right. So I want to kind of move this into the UH program right now. And I kind of want to talk about, for the past 2 years, you've had, congratulations, again, you won AVCA head coach of the year last year, and Joshua Walker won AVCA assistant coach of the year, and now Milan won it this year. So you see that all three of these coaches are winning these awards. What does that tell about the UH program and how much, I don't want to say like, oh, we're like this over this, but it's like,
why do you think that is?
Yeah, it speaks for it kind of self.
Well, it's because we have good players, right? They go hand in hand. It's like when players win individual awards, their team does well. When our team wins, you get individual awards, and coaches get awards when the same thing, when the team wins, and we win because we have a lot of good, really good players. And we have players that have just bought into the whole thing. You guys know it's not just because we think we're really good in the practice gym, and we are. But we're also really good in the classroom and the weight room and the community and the locker room. And, it's the cumulative effect of having guys bought in, Joe and Brett and, Stein, that group that came in, they benefited from the leadership of Kapono Fay and Henrik Moll, and those guys benefited from, Colby Kanataki and Siki, guys that helped to raise the bar. So we're on this, several year ascendant phase where we've really just built on the leadership and the dedication of the players before us. And, like Gage, that I've said this to you, and I say it to every class kind of going forward, your legacy ultimately will be if the young players, when you're one of the leaders, when you're one of the upperclassmen, when the leaders who are under your guidance, if they're competing for a national championship, compete at the highest level, then you've done your job, and we continue to be in the conversation as one of the best teams. And I mean, that's really the goal, right?
Yeah.
To try to be good always.
For sure.
And you're like, when I hear you talk to schools, and I've been with you when you've spoken to high schools or club teams, you're pretty open usually about saying how the training in the UH gym is above everyone else in the country, really. And I think over the past few years, it's really apparent that is one of the cases for sure. What do you think is besides obviously you have to have the talent in the gym, what is the biggest difference in our training style at UH that we had that separates us from any other program?
I mean, there's a couple ways to analyze it. The short of it is that we are more focused on individual development more than 6v6, roll the balls in play. We're always going to spend more time getting individual repetition. We believe firmly in and I don't think it's just a theory, but the scientific fact of myelination, that how you develop really sophisticated and advanced motor skills takes a lot of repetition. I think it's one of the things that Milan and I, early on, before he was ever here, when we had met in Serbia, that we shared the same view, and we just a lot of repetition going over the net. I think where we're a little more sophisticated, that it's not just simple repetition, that it's repetition that involves challenges you to put yourself in position to be a good biomechanical model at the moment of impact, rather than just standing there stationary and having a ball come to you. So that may mean moving forward, moving backwards, moving side to side, playing the ball multiple times in sequence that aren't just regular volley, I pass, you set, you hit, that it's like I may pass to myself, set to myself, and hit to myself, and just enhancing the way that you touch the ball and having you be in contact with the ball longer. I also think that, that we're diverse. Milan and I, while we see the game similarly, clearly we're different people. We grew up in opposite sides of the world. And then you add Josh Walker in there as an elite level athlete, an elite level performer, that we have a diverse staff. And we spend what you see in our practice gym on a daily basis is a byproduct of hours of preparation that, we're going, and sometimes it gets a little heated. We're yelling and doing different stuff, but I'm telling you, those are the greatest practices because we're all so much on the same page on how we're going to walk in and make you guys better. And we all have a very clear image on what that process is going to look like on a daily basis.
So one thing I've noticed, I mean, I'm still in the club scene because our dad owns a club and whatnot, is once I hear like people like going to these big name colleges, because they're like getting a bunch of people, mass group. Sometimes I think to myself, I'm like, I'm never gonna hear from that like kid again, just because like as soon as I go there, like they're just like you never hear from them again. Why do you think that is? Because like they have the money, they have the resources. Like why do you think? Why do you think that? Okay, they get a highly talented top 5 recruit and then you never hear from them again.
Because of the development, that a lot of in men's volleyball, there's still. I've always said there are more players than teams. So it's real easy as a program to bring 10 new guys every year, right? And you just go with whatever the shiny new toy is. And, partly because of where we're located, that I've been really reluctant to just pull people halfway around the world. And then, with a pretty clear knowledge that I'm just going to cut them in a year. We've avoided that. I just think like ethically too, it's not something that we do. So we go through the process maybe a little more thoroughly in finding out that they're guys that want to be there. And then we take very seriously their development not only as a player, but as a person, as a human, and those things all add up. And then at the end of the day, people improve. It's why you see a guy like Kapono Fay, who wasn't a big time recruit, ended up playing on a team, had a chance to win a national championship. Now is playing in his third year at the highest professional league in the world. And I mean, look at the guy sitting right next to you, nobody would let Joe Worsley be a setter, let alone the setter. So not only did we give him that shot, but we invested in that, and the development, the results speak for themselves. I mean, guys are coming in. You know, Max is a good example of this too. This is just a guy from the Midwest that decided he's you know, wants to be here and he's going to work hard. And when the world gets to see full-time Max Rosenfeld, they're going to be like, wow, where'd that guy come from? And to me, it's just going to be add him to the list of guys in our practice gym. Unfortunately, for some of them, they're never going to get on the court on a full-time basis.
Yeah,
the
for
talent
sure.
level. But then once they do, I mean, those guys that I mentioned that will be freshmen for a third year, you know, Alakai Todd and Cole Hogland and Evan Johnson and Brent Short, those guys as sixth-year guys are going to be adult men, and they're going to play at a high level.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, you know, kind of tying this into this the volleyball world right now, for me, we talked about this a couple shows ago. From the media aspect, I think I've talked to other people who've started up kind of YouTube channels or started up media pages, and everybody kind of agrees that the media coverage of volleyball isn't at the highest level. And I remember me at UH, I'd go into some interviews sometimes, and like the questions being asked to me, like I would question if they even were watching the match, if they had any understanding of exactly what went on. What is your feeling about coverage in Hawaii, and then as a whole, the volleyball media world?
Yeah, it's a little bit, that's my kind of opening rant this morning on our Zoom was me kind of philosophizing about communication in general and how media plays into it. Look, I think I see lots of effort to grow the media exposure for men's volleyball, and that's ultimately a good thing, right? But I think still you have to pay attention to not only how we communicate right now in so many different ways, right? That 10 years ago, none of this, you know, you didn't have these ways to communicate. So not only how, there's more, but kind of what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? Because I think what you alluded to, there's people who are doing interviews and like it's going to be news, but they already have in their mind what the story is going to say. And they're just, and you participating in, and then, I mean, I've had this happen a lot of times. Well, I'll make comments and then you go read the story afterwards and it's like, okay, well, I said that, but you wove it into the narrative that you already had in your mind. It's not really what I said. And that's just part of it. I just think, look, I think you should pay attention to not only how and how frequently, but what you're saying. Are you getting caught up in something that you're just being negative about whatever the topic or the person is? And are you advocating? You know, I think it's important that you can use the platform that you have to advocate for your team, to advocate for your teammates, for your university. I just think that's a better message because there's so much in this day and age. People want to hear the scandalous and the negative, and it's like, you know, pay attention to what you're saying and who you're saying it to. And if I'm going to err, I'm going to err on the side of advocating for the people around me.
For sure. Yeah. And, you know, media, I think you got into a little bit, but media can be a distraction in a way. And for me last year, I'm sure you'd heard about it, but I was a big proponent in terms from a social scene on our volleyball within our team, like limiting the amount of girlfriends we had. Do you see any effect? I need to settle this for my teammates and also be able to talk to you. Do you see any effect in how having a girlfriend affects their play and their overall performance in the
psyche in the game? Yeah. How does it affect you?
It's certainly a relevant question and an ongoing one. And I'm not sure I'm going to settle the argument for you, but
let's hear your hot take on this, Charlie.
Yeah, you know, look, relationships are hard. They're all hard and they take time, you know, and if you're not good at managing your time, then maybe you're not ready to have a relationship, and it becomes down to priority, you know, because, you know, it's like weight room, classroom, practice gym, you know, and that's a lot. If you're fully committed to, and, you know, to every one of those, you have time for snuggle on the couch, you know, like that part, like, and if you do great, I mean, and I would say, I mean, if you can, ultimately relationships make us better, right? And meaningful, passionate relationships, when you really care for someone, obviously make us better. But there's the if, like, do you have the allocation of resources? Are you mature enough to handle that? Because a lot of times relationships, you know, you get caught up and you're just trying to you want validation. You want that person to make you feel good. If you're looking for somebody else to make you feel, my advice would be get into a relationship with someone who's happy and confident on their own.
Yeah.
That they don't need your validation to complete them, because you are a high level athlete and your time
Yeah.
is valuable. And there's going to be times where it's like, look, I just don't have time to spend with you. You may choose to go spend time with your teammates rather than Netflix and chill.
Yeah, I think like they have to understand the whole
Good quote,
sporting
Charlie.
world and what it is about it.
Wait,
Netflix and chill.
Charlie's up
Kind
to
of
date.
adding into
Okay.
that, you guys. Oh, I'm sure over your years of coaching, you've dealt a lot with this. But in terms of players dealing with an injury in the middle of season, and obviously the timing of the injury at the point of the season is important. But what is your general philosophy? Because this year, for example, Colton Cowell, he had some pretty crucial injuries in big matches. What is your usually philosophy with players who have injuries throughout the season and playing them versus not playing them?
Yeah, I mean that's usually taken out of when we're talking the injuries. I don't make that decision, right? That's made with the doctors and the training staff, But again, it's about the time, and rest is certainly something that needs time. And whatever the extra time is, whether it's a relationship or it's video games or it's surfing or it's partying or whatever you're at and spending time, it's all like I said, there's a finite number of hours in the day. And if you don't have time to rest and rehab and do the things that are going to allow you to stay on the floor, like that's a bad choice,
Yeah.
And I think Colton got into it was almost like some of his injury and just his body kind of yelling at him a little bit came from what was a commitment to being bigger, faster, stronger. He just started overtraining. He just started getting so jacked. And so like his body started telling him like, you're carrying a lot of weight here. And, at the end, unfortunately, and we wouldn't have seen how it played out, but he and I had a real meaningful conversation about, he missed that last BYU game. His body's just yelling at him, that he recognized that he needed to back off a little bit on the training. So paying attention to your body and avoiding that injury by keeping it optimal, optimal rest and optimal strength. It's important. It takes time.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like I was saying that I think that him being injured for that and then the Lewis match I believe you guys had ultimately is what took him out of the race for first team All-American. I think being out of those two matches hurt his chances. I don't know. I wasn't in any of those meetings.
I think it's fair. You went on the floor for the two biggest matches we played.
Yeah.
It didn't help you.
Yeah. And so
I think from a coach's standpoint, you see that. I mean, once you reach a certain level, high level ball, pro ball, it's kind of like you got a roster of what would we have this year? Like 21, 22?
22.
You get a roster of 22. We had no red shirts. Everyone was playing except for one. But everyone was playing. It's more of like next man up. And I think that's how it is in the injury world in any sport. It's like, okay, and you know this from a coach's standpoint. It's like one guy gets hurt, like he could lose his job that quickly by the next guy coming in and just balling out. And I think that, you have to make that decision from a coach's standpoint.
For sure. And it's obviously it's always a kind of next man up mentality. It is a little harder in men's volleyball because of only the 4.5 scholarships to stockpile talent, and to be able to make substitutions that are lateral substitutions. Most of the time, if you're taking an All-American off the floor, you get worse. You can't win matches like that. But, fortunately, we've had, enough talent, enough depth that we're still able to win. Like I said, the matches against the two best teams we played this year without a really good player on the floor.
Yeah. So, Charlie, these last two things we're going to do with you here, we're going to play a little game right now. So recently
Here we go.
we did, this is our first of two. We took a poll on, I know you're not big on the social media. I know you got Josh Walker out there spying. I see what you're doing right now, Charlie. So we're going to do a little game right here. So we put out a poll, and this game's called What Are They Doing? And we put out a poll of 10 names. And people voted. We're going to choose 3 out of those, and we're going to give you a name. Again, we're only doing 3. And
the
gotta
highest,
say,
we got responses back from.
So we're going to throw your name, and I want you to tell us in about 15, 20 seconds or less what you think they're doing right now. Okay?
What do you think they're up to?
Quarantine.
What
What
are
do
they
you
up
think
to?
they're up to?
What are they up to?
And where are these? Is this anyone from anywhere in the world? Or
Anywhere.
It's anyone from
People you know.
that have been in the program, past,
Exactly.
Gotcha.
current, and past.
And we want your
Athlete.
honest answer. So we're going to ask you first one. The first name we got on our list is the Gapono Faye. What is he doing right now?
He's just hanging out in East Oahu. I think they live in Hawaii Kai. He's here on Oahu. He's just hanging out with the fam.
Okay.
Cruising.
Next one, Patrick Gassman.
Pat is probably waiting to see what's the next what's he going to do with his brother and his mom. They're both here on Oahu still too, and I know they're trying to fill their days with stuff outside the house. So maybe going on another hike or some kind of adventure.
And last one, our personal favorite, Brandon Rattray.
Yeah, that one you got me. I haven't had much contact with him over the last couple of years, so your guess is
working
as good
out.
as mine.
Probably working out.
Working out, doing handstands and whatnot.
Yeah, you're probably about right. Yeah.
So this last thing, we're going to turn over to Max here. So what we decided to do is, for those viewers out there, Charlie has many, many sayings, as we call them, Charlieisms, very famous and very knowledgeable, as I say. So what we're going to do.
Growing by the day, the list.
Exactly. Max, we're going to turn it over to you right now.
Okay, yeah. So the idea for this is we're going to give you the context of a given saying, and we're going to see if you can guess the actual saying. And we're pretty sure you can because you say it. Okay, so
Wait a minute.
first,
Whatever I say is right since they're Charlieisms. They're not Max's.
I guess
Go ahead.
common Charlieisms is our idea here. So this one is something you'd say to someone on your team. They don't want to be just another face in the crowd, so to speak. They don't want to be blank. They want to be blank. What would the saying be based on that?
You don't want to be blank. You want to.
They don't want to be like some random player. They want to be.
Yeah, they want to be.
You don't want to be. You don't want to be a guy. You
Yeah.
wanna be-
That's the one.
That's okay.
Nice. All right, 1 for 1. All right, we got a couple more here. Next one is someone is serving in the same manner again and again, and it's sort of working, but maybe you think that it would behoove them to switch up their routine, maybe give something, something else to the other side. What would you say then?
Pull a different club.
You're totally
Yeah!
right, you would. All right.
all night.
Okay.
Drive all
Okay.
night.
And then another one is we're in the locker room before a game, and you're going along the line to each of the guys on the team. But the common one that we heard 2 years ago was you look at this one guy and you ask him what his contribution would be. What is the saying that comes to mind? You guys got anything else to maybe give a hint there?
He's
Joe,
Bulgarian.
He's Bulgarian. That's the first. Your
Yep.
first question to him
First
before
question.
every single game.
Before every meet, when we meet in the locker room.
What are you going to do?
Yes,
That's
yes.
it.
What do you?
That's it.
I love when you go. It's like they talk about the team, but you're like, no. What are you going to do?
Yes, exactly.
I'm all about that.
And then the final one here is you want people to know about their environment that they live in, and that, okay, another saying that I'm going to say here is our lives are different, as you say. But then you want them to know about the I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You two
It's
know?
just- it's just not what though.
It's
Like-
different.
like,
Yeah, it's just
like,
not.
people like doing
That's
different
just
stuff.
not-
We're just like, it's just not our. That's just not our blank.
We have a lot of media presence, like most other schools don't, and people pay attention to us more
So we
so than
gotta
other
be-
schools.
We got to be mindful of our actions. So you would say, well, you can't just go around doing dumb stuff because that's just.
You have to be professional.
Yes,
No.
that's one. That's a different. Okay, that's
We're
actually
there, we're
correct.
close, we're
We were
close.
thinking. The correct. The answer we put down was that's just not our world.
That's just not our world. Yeah.
One of the classics.
There we go. So thanks
Ladies-
for participating.
Charlie, thank you so much for joining us for the show. We had a blast. I know you probably got Zoom calls, and again, like we said, we got school Zoom calls to get
So,
to.
wait. So Max.
Yeah.
I heard you singing the other day in my house. Like one of my kids had something on, and it was like I
weird.
heard it.
What? Max, your hat.
You got a new little tune. I thought it was almost like some iconic like folk song, but modern day. It was like almost a little Woody Guthrie or something. Can
Max,
you give
you-
us a second of that?
Max, can you sing? Do you have your guitar?
I don't have it in the room, but you know what? I'd love
Acapella.
to. We'll
Just
put a video on
acapella.
the.
Yeah,
Which one-
acapella.
which
Let's hear an
one was it?
acapella.
Oh, there was the one that I
Acapella.
wrote that was, "Hey, Coach Graham, how have you been?"
No. The what about
No.
Charlie?
Oh, which? Oh, Amazing Ace.
Yes. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Amazing Ace, I ripped my serve, but Charlie doesn't care. That's what I had. And then he says, because I had bad hand on ball. That was the premise of the song. I hope
You should
the
watch
boys
it.
liked it.
Thumb up. There's got to be a thumb up in there
Thumb
somewhere.
up. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll see you on the track, Coach. Sorry.
Charlie, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you, Coach.
Hopefully,
Thank you, guys.
We
staying
appreciate it.
safe. Keep the
Stay
family
safe.
safe. Thank you, Charlie. Well, I hope that former teammates, current teammates, and future teammates can enjoy that. Or people of Hawaii
For sure.
program gonna enjoy
Yeah.
that segment there.
Anybody who's
Yep.
worked with Charlie too will appreciate.
We decided to add the little Charliesms at the end. We love those. He loves being all a part of those. I
We
think
know
he
the
could
boys will get a kick out of that.
Oh, for sure. I think he could have answered a little faster though. You know, maybe we gotta.
The
brush him
last
up
one
on his
stumped
history. I know, right?
Max stumped him on that one.
That's just not our world.
I think the biggest debate in that whole thing is Joe and his whole girlfriend shtick.
Oh my God.
I think that he's all about that. Now,
Hey, anybody who listened to me last year, I knows that I support people being happy. Okay, but there's too many times I see girlfriends getting in the way of training and guys doing their work and not
Yeah.
being focused.
Yeah, but
and that's what I got.
Who hurt you, Joe? Who hurt you?
Okay, what about people?
For example, this guy.
Oh, here we go.
Relationships.
Oh,
It was me and Rado and Stein versus everybody else. You know, I had to pull guys out of relationships,
Oh my God!
keep them from getting into it.
personally,
you poor soul, Joe. You poor guy.
Watch it out for the boys. Saturdays are for the boys.
Yeah, but what if they
We
can
play
balance it?
Saturday.
What if people balance it then? If I
I don't think
No,
it's
that-
possible to balance.
what about like the professional athletes?
Okay,
then?
no matter what.
I've heard this
if you-
conversation.
If you look at a Venn diagram, okay, you take a look at a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
If it's just the circle with just volleyball, you have nothing else pulling you away. You start adding other things, they start pulling away
Okay, so
at your time and your schedule.
So you're telling me that?
No matter what, there's always time for volleyball.
So are you telling me
You
that?
start having other things, it starts pulling you apart.
So you're telling me that when's the right time to have a girlfriend or wife? Never after
I-
40 afterwards.
I'm just saying, you have to be able to deal with the distractions.
so
No,
what?
girlfriends are. You can't admit to me that girlfriends are not distractions.
All right,
How are they not a distraction?
I can admit that. I can
For
admit that.
sure.
For sure. You need
Because you
hobbies
can.
and you need stuff to do off the.
Love doctor.
Oh,
No,
okay.
absolutely.
So when do you see yourself getting married and getting a girlfriend?
Yeah, Joe. When's
don't
that gonna
know.
happen?
I
don't know.
Oh my! This guy's gonna get a girlfriend and change his whole mind. Be like, bro, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I will never admit that
Oh.
girlfriends aren't a distraction.
Joe and Rado last year, they would literally be like, Rado told a girl last year, he's like, I can't be with you because Joe would kill me.
That
like-
is not false.
Literally.
Me and Rado had to have a conversation.
I feel like it was coming to the point where it wasn't like about girlfriends. It's about like, dude, if I do this, then
Yeah.
I'm like, other guy's gonna be crap. Like, no way. The guys,
If
last
I
year,
get into a relationship,
relentless.
Joe's gonna rip me a new one.
You guys were relentless. Oh my gosh, that's all I heard.
and then it's me and Gage hanging out, and who's Joe hanging out with? Is he hanging out with the boys?
classic
Oh,
Joe.
Saturdays are always for the boys.
Uh-huh.
False.
Oh,
Not if you're
false.
Joe.
Always.
Mr. Oh, I can't go on a hike, but then the day before game, go to the two sticks to a hike. Oh my
Yeah.
God, bro. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this segment of girlfriends or no girlfriend. I'm just kidding.
It's not
But,
a good segment.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out next Tuesday. We'll be posting who we have on Sunday, so make sure you follow us on social media, on our Instagram.
Please keep sending in videos are totally exposed. We want to see we kind of pick through and see what we like best, what makes us laugh the most. If you guys have any videos that you guys want us to react to, please send them in. We would love to feature them on our show.
Please
But
do,
ask your
guys.
girlfriend first. Make sure it's
Yes.
okay with your girlfriend.
don't
No,
have
break
a
up with
girlfriend.
your girlfriend and then send it for Joe's sake over here. Guys, send us a video of
Just
you
cut.
breaking up with your
Send
girlfriend.
us a video of you breaking up with her, and that'll for sure get featured on our show.
Oh my God.
We'll put that on the show. Oh my God. Joe.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Out of System.